Well, US officials are investigating what appears to be a leak of classified military information about Ukraine. Screenshots are circulating on Russian social media showing what looks like US and NATO documents about Ukrainian weapon systems and other intelligence. All of this coming out as Ukraine battles Russian forces in Bakhmut and as it prepares for a new counteroffensive. US officials say the documents are real, but they appear to be edited. Ukrainian presidential advisor believes Moscow is behind the supposed leak, but he says the images have, quote, nothing to do with Ukraine's real plans. Well, let's get the view from the US and Ukraine. Our Natasha Betrand joins me now from the Pentagon, and our Paton Walsh is joining us from Kyiv. Good to have you both with us. I'm going to start with you first, Natasha. These were classified war documents, allegedly, covering secret NATO and US plans for building military resources in Ukraine. What are your sources telling you about this? How serious is this leak?
Well, Lynda, they're taking this leak very seriously. Of course, anytime something sensitive like this comes out of the Pentagon, leaks from the Pentagon, it is taken very seriously by the administration. And they are saying that they're still trying to get to the bottom of it here. But what they are telling us so far is that these documents, they are legitimate. They are authentic. However, some of them have been edited in some places. And what we're told is that at least one document actually had a correct Pentagon assessments for how many Russians were killed in action, for example. But that document appears to have been edited before it was later disseminated by Russian Telegram channels to make those casualty figures much lower. So it's little things like this in these documents that are leading officials to express to reporters that they should be very cautious with how they're handling these documents. But look, at the same time, these documents they are pretty revealing, and they could be useful for the Russians just in terms of figuring out and finding out how much equipment the Ukrainians currently have, for example. One of the documents lists the exact systems, the quantities of them that the West has given to the Ukrainians, when the training on those systems will be complete, and roughly how many more systems the US and the West are going to give to Ukraine. So that is a very potentially valuable window that the Russians could have into this kind of operational aspect of the Ukrainian military. So the US is now they're investigating, the Pentagon is investigating how this leak actually happened. But so far, we are not getting really any closer to finding out when these documents appeared online exactly, and also how much is actually out there. We have identified about 4 documents so far that have been put out there that the Pentagon says are in fact real. Lynda.
Wow. Yeah, we wonder if we'll see any more of these documents in the coming days or weeks. I do want to get Nick's take on this from Ukraine. Nick, can you give us a sense of how Ukraine is responding to these leaked documents, and also an update on the battle in Bakhmut? Is there any sense of who has the upper hand there right now?
Yeah, I mean, the clearest signal we've had from the Ukrainian government is a presidential advisor, Mikhail Podolyak, saying essentially this is Russian misinformation, and echoing a point I think many analysts have made. Why, if you were Russian intelligence and you'd scored this coup of obtaining confidential NATO and US assessments about your enemy, why would you then put them online to essentially advertise the fact you were in possession of this confidential assistance in the upcoming counteroffensive everyone's expecting the Ukrainians to launch? Counter verse 2, why, if the US have discovered this intelligence leak and these documents online, why would they give indications that these are authentic? So not to say that these are not genuine signals from people and that there is just great confusion as often occurs in these circumstances, but you also should remember the context of misinformation in this war, and how ahead of the previous Ukrainian counteroffensive in the summer, there were suggestions of certain tactics that might have been used by Ukrainians that turned out later to not be the case. The fog of war means a lot of people talk different things the whole time that don't always turn out to be true, but it is very interesting how these documents have specifically emerged just at a time of heightened speculation as to when Ukraine's counteroffensive may begin, and they do appear, it seems, if they are authentic, to present important bits of information about Ukraine's capabilities. We'll have to see how real they turn out to be down the line and if they have any impact on the counteroffensive's timing. Adding into that, Lynda, we're hearing from Bakhmut, certainly a UK intelligence assessment of the fighting for that now symbolically key city in Ukraine's east, suggesting that Russia, the UK says, might be getting some momentum, perhaps because the mercenary Wagner groups fighting for that city and also the traditional Russian military there, the conventional traditional Russian military are beginning to cooperate a little more. Their rivalry has certainly stymied, or certainly been very public over the past months. Whether this marks a sea change in Russia's lengthy, months-long, almost the whole winter, frankly, fight for this town, which most analysts say has minimal strategic value, but it's really become outsized in importance of Russia because they've said they will take it. We simply don't know if this is a sea change in how that fight's going to play out. But certainly it has, over the past month, sucked in a lot of Russian resources, a lot of Ukrainian ones too. But some analysts are saying it's given a bit of breathing space on other parts of the front line for perhaps Ukraine to prepare for this counter-offensive. Whether these documents being leaked or the events in Bakhmut alter the timing or pressure points of that counter-offensive, we don't know yet. But certainly I think many are anticipating in the days and weeks ahead a large Ukrainian push. Lynda?
All right, no doubt we will talk again in the days and weeks ahead. Paton Walsh for us in Kyiv and Natasha Betrand at the Pentagon. Thanks to you both.